Okay, welcome back everyone to Summer School E-commerce Ops Edition. I'm Christina, your host of the series, and today I'm excited to be joined by Brandon from the Settle team. I'm really excited for today because I think this one's very unique with what we haven't been able to touch on, talking about inventory. So Brandon, without further ado, we like to just jump right in. So I'm going to have you take over the mic and then I will chime back in at the end.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks so much. Um, Great. Well, kicking things off, everyone here knows what inventory is, but do we really dig into understanding what it means for your business? It's way more than just the basic items that are on the shelves in your warehouse. It's really the operational compass that's driving your business. The way I like to think about it is you have two train tracks as a e-commerce business. One side is your inventory, the other side is your cash. And those two need to be working on the same tracks in parallel with each other. Otherwise, you're going to go off the tracks. It's extremely complicated to just manage one side without the other. And you really need them both moving in the right direction and understanding both of them in order to be successful, to scale, to grow your business, which I'm assuming most people here are wanting to do. Core to this whole inventory side is forecasting your cash planning, reordering, sales alignment, making sure the operational side of your business is operating in a way that is going to help you grow and help you move forward. That all starts with that lifeblood piece of inventory. Moving into a little more in depth, the landed cost side of things is a really easy place to skip over or not pay as much attention to. You have a lot of commonly overlooked expenses that go into your inventory and your planning, including freight, duties, insurance. Everyone's like Voldemort. Word right now, tariffs, they're often unaccounted for typically just right off the bat when you're managing your inventory and forecasting. The huge piece here is margins. Your partners, your investors, your finance team, etc. Like everyone wants to understand your margins, and this is where things can slip. So if you're not correctly accounting for landed costs specifically, you're leaving some stuff out of that equation, and it's like kind of lying to yourself on trying to figure out margins if you're just tracking the product cost piece by itself. This is also like a super critical piece where when it's good, it's good. Like you understand it, you're able to grow, push, know exactly where you're at from individual product perspective and what's profitable versus less profitable. But when it's not good, it not just makes things harder, but is like a huge issue into your brand viability, financing concerns, and a lot more. So this is a super critical piece of your inventory and forecasting that you need to land, and make sure that it's in a good place throughout your brand's life cycle. Really, we want to avoid gut feeling through your forecasting as well. This is a customer quote. I will not mention their name, but they said, yeah, forecasting was basically a group chat and a gut feeling. We used to scramble when something sold out and couldn't trust our spreadsheets. So getting out of spreadsheets into something that's going to be a little more sustainable and give you more accurate information is key. This is probably one of the biggest pieces early on of brands that I recommend nailing down and getting this piece right, because there are so many downstream issues that come from a forecasting perspective. Poor forecasting can result in stockouts, obviously excess inventory, tying up your precious capital that you have in that stage, and is super critical, especially for kind of those bigger periods. Black Friday Cyber Monday coming up. Everyone should be kind of starting to get a picture of that and start planning for what that's going to look like. This is where forecasting becomes like the driving force. If you're stocking out during these critical times, or overstocking and tying up too much capital, it can be life or death for brands. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, brands that switch from manual to more of like a data-driven approach not only increase margins, but because they are not stocking out, that you can increase your brand and customer value as well. So not just dealing directly with the financial side, but also with sales, retention, reorders. All of that is impacted by forecasting. End of year, scary period. We don't want you to have nightmares and go through a difficult period during it. Poor inventory practices kind of lead to that painful end of year stuff from a financial reporting perspective, from an operational perspective. We're in a super interesting industry. We have essentially like a couple of Super Bowls every year that last 48 to 96 hours. We just got done with Prime Day, and then have Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up, which is its own crazy beast. But this is where the championship happens. Like we as an industry push really hard during those times in order to make things work. Um, and during these little off periods are when it's important to figure out the inventory side, figure out the forecasting side. If you just went through um, Prime Day and you were a little caught off guard, now's the time to get those things, those pieces in place and really understand what's happening with your business in order to prepare for this next wave that's happening. Um, Brand reputation is on the line, missed sales, low reorder counts, all of that kind of stuff can play a factor into your inventory and forecasting. And then clean systems means clean books at the end of the year, at the end of the month. When you're going to check things out, reconcile, working with your accounting firm, having clean books is super important. You need your accountant to understand what's going on with your business, as well as you understand what's going on with your business. So moving things out of the spreadsheets, which is kind of the universal starting point for most businesses, gives you not only a little bit more maturity and clarity, but lets you have like scalability across working with multiple people, as we'll get into. Um, that can help you through all of this. Yes, like spreadsheets are great free option when it's just you running the business. But as you scale, you want a little more sophistication that's going to help you get to that next level. And I'd argue like starting as early as possible is crucial. It's just going to make the rest of the process so much easier. So when you're a startup, you're one or two operators, you're wearing all the hats possible. Orders are going to be tracked through spreadsheets. You're doing fulfillment through Gmail, and like tracking inventory in someone's head, or literally like writing it on sticky notes and posting that up on the walls. It could be kind of a headache. A lot of manual tracking, a lot of just like human error, missed orders, potentially overbuying and getting into trouble with like the forecasting side of things. And then where tech can kind of help and set up and create those systems for you, automate a lot of the reordering, bill payments, that type of stuff, without adding any headcount. So while you're kind of fighting for every dollar, helps you stay a little more responsible through that process. You get landed cost visibility, so truly understanding what landed costs go into buying your inventory, as well as tracking across the cash conversion cycle. So when you're putting a dollar into inventory, when is that you get that dollar back out? And then finally, just like building confidence and having clean, centralized inventory data can even like make you feel like you're a bigger brand than you already are, just because the systems are set up. And we're in a cool industry where it's like it doesn't really matter what the product necessarily is. The systems are all going to work more or less the same way for 80% of what you're doing. And so these pieces are set up specifically to work in the specific ways that will help with your business. That's why you can jump into technology early on as a startup and then stick with it into scaling in a high volume and enterprise eventually. On the scaling side, maybe you're like looking to hire operations roles. You start to like launch more direct to consumer. You add channels like retail, Amazon, Shopify. You're growing your SKUs. You're growing vendors that you have. I like to say the only constant in this industry is like everything's changing all the time. You're going to increase complexity with each of these steps, and with increased complexity comes a lot of these issues or challenges that are going to pop up. Um, in this stage, you're dealing a lot with disconnected tools. You're starting to get like a little bit of teams, and so communication between those teams can be a little bit of a challenge. And then finance is going to be scrambling at the end of the month to kind of come up with that reconciliation, do the end of month closeout, check inventory levels, make sure everything's checked out for the end of the month. And tech can play a huge part in this as well. Forecasting demand with your on SKU levels to help you anticipate cyclical like sales nature or seasonality. Um, it helps align across your different divisions. So your sales team is aligned with your operations team, which is aligned with your finance team, and you're all speaking the same language and working with the same parts. And then a lot of automation starts to kick in of purchase orders, landed costs, funding inventory, integrated working capital can come into play here as well. But we're making sure the whole system is moving in the same way that's going to help you scale. And then finally, on the upper end, you're dealing with multiple warehouses, you're national or international. You have a lot of heavy end of year audits, multi-state tax obligations, deeper vendor relationships, and trying to like fight and manage those margins as much as possible at this stage. Um, Inventory challenges can be it's kind of like a scaling problem. So the small little inventory issues can lead to a lot of inconsistent data stress across your teams, and then slow fulfillment, slow processes internally. Poor landed cost tracking as well at this stage, super costly. You're kind of flying a little bit blind, and oftentimes companies I talk to, you feel a little blindsided by some of these additional costs that are popping up that were unexpected, and end up totally throwing off what those margins look like. So um, tech can help with audit-proof inventory procurement workflows, multi-location stock visibility, being able to see things across all your warehouses, tax ready reporting, and a lot of like the tax nature sides of things as well. Awesome. So inventory, like we tend to think of it as back office problem, but really we want to reshape that into actually like a growth strategy. Um, if you want to stop like guessing, trying to figure out where you're at with inventory reordering, etc., that's where tools like Settle can come into play, like some of the other inventory management systems can come into play. But if you're building your demand plan around marketing and just trying to like feel out the situation, um, you're going to have a little bit more of a hard time getting through the processes and being able to really scale to the level that you want to, that's you're visualizing in your head. And you're going to help your accounting team, finance team, all the different pieces of brand out with being able to speak the same language, and work in the same way. We've all been in spreadsheet hell before, and then this is going to help kind of bring you out of that and push your brand forward into new territories.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, actually, I have a couple questions because now I'm really interested in this topic. You just mentioned the concept of like planning stretch goals around marketing and where you want to go, but at the same time being realistic around what is your trend line telling you that you're going to go, right? Is there, how do you kind of navigate that to find the smart middle ground with brands and that you're working with at Settle?
My recommendation for brands in that situation, like really breaking down into understanding those individual pieces. So, understanding your landed costs, understanding your margins, really understanding your cash conversion cycle and forecasting. Then you can start to better put together what that plan looks like. If you're missing on the profitability side, it's finding ways to increase your margins. If you're running into like the inventory side of issues, it's better forecasting, maybe like even overstocking a little bit, in order to kind of make up that gap.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, that's great. And then at the beginning, you talked about Black Friday. I know it's only July, but it's going to be here soon. Like, what is your recommendations for brands? Like, when should they be really making decisions about inventory for Q4?
Yeah, right now, I think is like very, very common. The like savvy brands, obviously it depends on how long that cash conversion cycle takes or how long it takes for your inventory to be fulfilled. Um, this is a good 3 month period where it's like, okay, now we need to start making that plan. Let's say you have 2 months to actually get the inventory put together, and ready to go. Those types of conversations and planning and forecasting are going to start happening right now, in order to hit those. And so you want to make sure you're on top of it. You want to make sure, if anything, you're a little early on that process. So I would start as soon as possible, especially especially if you're off the path of integrating technology into your brand. Using things like Settle or an IMS, now's the time to start looking at those so you can be set up, prepared, not scrambling last minute to get everything in line.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of our goal with this series too, right? Is I know it's a summer, things start to slow down, and hopefully it gives you listening, right, the time to kind of tackle some of these different areas of your business, start to bring on tech, right? And that way things are going to run a lot smoother in Q4. Hopefully you can go beyond the goals that you thought that you were going to hit. So this is awesome. Last question, Brandon. If someone wants to go ahead and start to implement tech and consider Settle, how do you recommend they get in touch with your team?
Yeah, absolutely. Head to settle.com. We can help you out there. Feel free to find me on social media and DM me as well. Happy to help out or advise across the board, even if it's not directly with Settle. We're definitely here to help.
I love it. Well, this session was really great, Brandon. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks to the Settle team for joining us. And thanks for everyone for listening. We'll be back. We'll be back on Monday. Hope everyone has a nice weekend. Thanks,
Thanks
everyone.
again.